Hey, everyone, Dennis K here with Belize Islands Real Estate. Hope you're all doing well today. Hey, listen, I recently went live. We did a live streaming webinar. We went for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we talked about all sorts of things to moving down to Belize as an expat, retiring in Belize, how to get used to your new environment. We talked a lot about investing, Airbnbs, rental income, taxes, all that kind of good stuff. But I realized that most of you don't have 2 hours and 15 minutes to sit and watch an entire live stream through. And so what we're doing is we're breaking that up into short segments. Some are 2 or 3, 5 minutes long. Some are 10 to 15 minutes long. And I'm going to be releasing these on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in any of these topics, look at the subject line below. And if you're interested, spend a few minutes and check it out. I think you'll really find it interesting. And who knows, you might learn something about Belize that you never learned before. So enjoy this snippet of my live stream, and we hope to see you in Belize soon. The issue of financing. A lot of questions coming in right now, and a lot of people that I'm getting on Zoom calls with are saying, Dennis, prices where I live for homes are going through the roof. They are insane. Almost everybody I talk to in the US and Canada is experiencing this. There's a shortage of homes. There's multiple offers coming in on homes. As soon as something is listed, within 3 or 4 hours, there's 10 offers on it above asking price. And so you might be thinking, well, why is that able to take place? Number one is that people are able to go to a bank in the United States, put 20% down, get a loan for 4.5%, 5.5%, maybe even less than that. But they're able to do that and finance that house for 30 years. All right. And there might be multiple lenders, multiple banks that you could work with, right? So for example, if I see a house in the US, I want to buy the house, I write an offer, boom, I can go to several banks, get the loan. I know it's going to close in 30 days because it works like clockwork, right? This is something that they do this. The machine that exists for the sale of real estate in the United States is just massive. And the banks know what to do in the case of a default. And they do as much as they can to protect themselves with credit checks and everything else. But at the end of the day, if the bank takes back a certain amount of homes, they have a system for moving those homes off the books so that the banks don't get in trouble. All right. In Belize, it is completely different. All right. So first of all, in 15 years of selling real estate in Belize, I've had exactly 2 clients use bank financing in 15 years. Most sales are cash sales, or we look for someone that's offers seller financing. Now, why is that? Well, the banks in Belize loan on property with a minimum of 40 to 50% down payment. All right. So you're not going to get away with 10, 15, 20% like you are in North America. It's going to be 40 to 50% down payment. Interest rates are 10.5 to 12% or higher. All right. So in addition to the high interest rates, a lot of times they're going to charge you points on the mortgage, right? So you got to pay some upfront points in the mortgage. You have to take a life insurance policy out on yourself in case you die, that the mortgage is paid off. Why? Because the bank doesn't want that home back. They don't have a system like we have in the United States. The bank's going to get that home back and go, now what I'm going to do with this home? I got to pay someone to maintain it. I got to try to find a buyer. I just don't want to deal with this, right? So right now, property values in Belize are at the limit that the market will bear for cash sales. All right. So if you want to come down to Belize, if you're looking to buy a $800,000 beachfront home or a $1 or $1.5 million home, you're not getting financing on it. You're writing the check, right? You're actually taking out the old checkbook, $1.5 million to buy the house because there is no financing, right? A lot of times now what people are trying to do to get in the game is what I recommend is trying to get your start with land. At least with land, you can normally find a seller willing to finance it. So a lot of times you hear me refer to like a 10-10-10 program, 10% down, 10% interest for 10 years. All right. And even at that, you're going, wow, 10% interest. That's a lot more than the 4.5 I pay in North America. Yeah. But you know what? No credit checks. No points, no going to the bank system here. It's just reducing balance loan. And the best part is if you do turn upside down, for example. So for example, let's say you bought a property from us and you've been making payments for 6 months or a year, and all of a sudden you lose your job. And there's no way you can make the payment. So number one, we're going to work with you. We don't want you to see you lose the property, right? Because then we just have to get it back and sell it again, start all over. So we're going to work with you on it. But also, If for some reason you just have to make the phone call and say, Dennis, I got to walk away. I'm over my head. This monthly payment is a burden. I just need to walk away. If you do that, that's all that happens is you walk away. You lose the property and what little bit of money you had to put down, but that's it. You walk away. There's no blemish on your credit report. There's no reporting of this to the IRS or any sort of financial entity. You walk away, doesn't affect your credit. And guess what? When you get back on your feet, come on back down, let's do another deal. Because if you wanted the property in the first place, you probably wanted to get in the future. So that's the way we're dealing with it right now. Now, here's the thing that you might not have thought about. Right now, prices in Belize are being kept at this peak because it's based on the cash market. No financing is available. What happens when there is attractive financing in Belize? What do you think will happen to property values? You see, there's a reason why in the United States right now, home values can be what they are. Average median home price is what, like 275,000? The only reason it can be that high is because that's what people can afford to put down as their down payment and make their monthly payments, right? Now, the more attractive you make the financing, the higher the prices can go. You remember when they came out with financing for universities and colleges, the goal was, hey, we're going to give kids an opportunity who don't have money to take out a student loan to go to college so they can start their lives off with a higher education. What happened was almost immediately, all the university prices went through the roof because they could charge more. Same thing with cars. I just looked at this today. Back when I was growing up, the average car loan was 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. Now the average is 6, 7, or even 8 years. Why? Because car prices have gone up so much that with that financing in place, now it's taking you 8 years to pay off a car when it used to take you 3 or 4. All right, so here's what's going to happen in Belize. Once you find someone able to come in and offer attractive financing. I mean, in other words, financing like what we find in the United States with 15, 20% down, interest rates, in that 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5 range, something in there. We are absolutely going to see a massive increase in prices. Right now, we don't know when that's going to happen. Hasn't happened yet. But for those of you able to get in now, it's good. So don't worry about that little 10% you're paying. And remember, that's a reducing balance loan anyway. Right? So you can use that financing for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, but that allows you to get in the game now. And that's something really important to think about. Getting in the game now, prices are the same now, and then, worrying about building later on. Do you see many people taking home equity loans to buy property? Yes, I do. In fact, that's one of the great things about living in the US and Canada is if your house has some equity in it, you can pull the equity out, put it into Belize, and either, at least get in on the ground floor now with your land, if not being able to finance your condo or home or your ultimate retirement property. But that is a very good question. Here's a financing question. Do we need to use a Belize bank? Yes, Leroy, Belize banks are very, very difficult to work with. And when I say difficult, they don't make it on purpose difficult. Their goal is not to be difficult, but there are so many hoops to jump through to get a loan. For example, on a condo or a home, you're much better off to look for someone who is selling with seller financing, or a developer who is selling with developer financing, or to try to find some way to fund it through a home equity loan, pulling money out of your self-directed IRA, 401k, something like that. So that's my answer on that. So on a 10-10-10, can I pay down the loan sooner instead of having to do the entire 10 years? So yes, absolutely. So for example, Leroy, you put the 10% down, all right? And then you just make monthly payments. So for example, you can make the minimum monthly payment. So let's say that minimum payment is $300 a month. You can do that. And then at certain times of the year, when you have extra money, let's say you get a year-end bonus at the end of the year, you get a tax refund, you have an extra $1,000. You just call up the loan holder and say, look, I'm going to put an extra 1,000 on top of the 300. That extra 1,000 is going to go right to the bottom line and reduce that balance down. And now you've just saved yourself a bunch of money in interest, right? So yeah, you can pay that off anytime. There are no minimums, and we don't write that in there on purpose. So for example, if you were negotiating, so here's the flip side of that. Let's say you were negotiating a deal and you said, well, I want to negotiate because if I'm financing, the seller's going to make some money over time. And you think, you know what, I'm going to tell him that, so he accepts a lower price, and then I'm just going to pay it off in 5 or 6 months. That's kind of being dishonest. So we wouldn't recommend that. So that's why we don't put those clauses in there, but we just trust that, hey, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 20, 10, 10, 30. 10% is typical being put down because typically the agent fees in Belize are 10%. So that allows the agent to be made whole. He goes his happy way, and then the seller just takes over from there and starts receiving the monthly payments from the buyers. Here's a question. What is an example of a developer who finances? Are there companies that do this, or is it individuals who do this? All right, so that's a great question. So an example of a developer who finances would be someone like Mahogany Bay Village. All right, so Mahogany Bay Village, which you're probably very familiar with if you've been watching any of Will Mitchell's videos, and I highly recommend that you do. Will's a good friend of mine. He does a fantastic job at highlighting the lifestyle on Embarker's Key. So Mahogany Bay Village, it consists of the Hilton Curio Collection Hotel and also several other smaller projects, including the opportunity to buy canal front property and then have your own home built. So for example, right now, the parent company of Mahogany Bay Village is selling canal front lots for 150,000 US, and they are financing those. So they themselves, the developer, is financing those lot purchases. So I think it's something like 20 or 30% down. And if you put 30% down, they'll drop the interest rate a bit. All right. So that's one example. There are also some lots available in Grand Belizean Estates, developer-owned lots, where the developer will actually offer the financing. And I think on those, they might be offering like a 20% down 30-year mortgage on those. So that's one example. Another example might be, for example, the Las Terrazas project. When that project was built, the developer of Las Terrazas was actually offering limited financing. All right. But once a project is sold out, right now, what you need to look for is owner financing. So for example, let's say I owned a condo at Grand Caribe, bought a 2-bedroom condo, paid for it, it's my name. Now I want to sell it for some reason. Maybe I don't go to Belize anymore. Maybe I'm back home for some reason. I could choose to sell that condo for cash, or if I wanted, I could also sell that with seller financing. Now, seller financing isn't as popular with improved property because of a couple of different things. First of all, if I own a condo at Grand Caribe worth $650,000, first of all, I'm probably going to want more like 20 or 30% down. But second of all, I don't know how people are going to take care of that condo while they're financing. What happens if I come down? What happens if I default or they default? And all of a sudden I come down, I find that, it wasn't cared for properly, they got mold problems or whatever the case might be. So I'm going to be really hesitant about taking a very valuable piece of property and just letting someone, seller financing it, right? Same thing with a house. With land, I'll finance land all day long because there's not much someone can do to mess it up, right? So land, you'll find people willing to offer financing on, but with improved properties, you really got to look, and oftentimes it's for a lot shorter financing windows. So for example, again, going back to this illustration, if I own a condo at Grand Caribe, $650,000, I'll take 25% down. I might give you a 10-year mortgage, but I want to be paid out in the next 24 months, 36 months. And you might be thinking, well, that's, I need financing. That's not financing. That's like real short term. But here's the thing. A lot of you guys looking to buy property in Belize have plans to sell your primary residence in the next year, 2 or 3 years, right? Or they are planning on inheriting a property, or maybe they have a secondary property that they own that they're going to be selling. So they can say, okay, I'll buy this condo for $650,000. I'll put down 25% now, knowing that in 24 months, I'm going to get this large chunk of money in, I'll be able to pay it off, and everything's good. So you can normally structure deals like that, but you're going to be hard pressed to find condos or homes for sale that are 10, 15, 20-year mortgages. They just really don't exist. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video today. Really appreciate it. If you like these types of videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button below and tune in, because we often post several new videos a week, including videos on lifestyle, investing in Belize, new listings, all sorts of good information that you're going to want to know. And also, if you want to hit me up on a live one-on-one Zoom call, the link is below to just simply buy me a coffee. That's all I ask. 1 or 2 coffees, buy one for Steph and I. Let's jump on a Zoom call, talk about your plans for Belize, how we can help make your dreams a reality. All right, thanks a lot. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.